is Cockpits and Cocktails. We use this podcast to share stories and talk about all things aviation and aerospace. Thank you for joining us for this episode. Cheers to you and enjoy. Hello, everyone. This is Natalie Fly Girl Kelly, and welcome to this episode of Cockpits and Cocktails. This is a special episode because it's going to be myself and my co-host, one of my co-hosts, Stephanie, on this call. We're going to catch up with one another and see what she's been up to. I have currently been running around all day. I'm getting ready to go out of town. I'm going to Morocco in a couple of days. I'm meeting a girlfriend there. So she and I have just been trying to catch up with one another and finally have been able to do that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Stephanie has to say. Hey, you're live.
Oh my goodness. Looking like...
Well, no one's going to see us, thankfully, because look at me.
Right?
My hair is wet. I just hopped out of the shower. So you look amazing.
Where were you? You said you were at a soccer?
No, I had a tennis match, and then I went to yoga after that.
Ooh.
And then I had a doctor's appointment. I mean, I've been gone since 8:30 this morning. I haven't been home, and I needed a shower so bad.
You're like, listen, I know no one's going to see me or hear me, but I need to shower before we do that.
Yeah. Well, now I've got a school meeting to go to after this. So it's like, I don't want to embarrass my son. So I'm glad we finally got a chance to just you and I talk.
I know. It's been too long.
I know. So do you know what I want to talk about?
How about we just talk about if people are stressed over check rides?
Yeah. I think that's great. That's what I was going to say.
And I don't think I realized it until I finally started telling people, like, I'm petrified to do a check ride. I'm pushing it off. And then, like, I think you might have been the first person that I actually told. Then, because the thing is, I've been busy, or if you're busy and like you don't have time for lessons or whatever, and I travel a lot. And then I realized that, like, all right, well, now what? What's my reason? Like,
I can't come up with a good excuse anymore.
But the guy, my examiner that I happened to randomly meet, I didn't get to meet him. I saw him one day, and this was probably like 8 months ago. He was doing a check ride for someone, and at the end of the day, that person did not pass. Okay. So that was in my mind, was that, like, this person is just the meanest man in America.
Yeah.
And I was afraid. Now, that same day, I was smart enough to go, wow, it's really windy. Like, there were things in my mind that made me go, like, wow, this person is gonna go for their check ride, and the trees are falling over right now.
Oh geez.
But so there were looking back, there were reasons I'm sure that they did not pass for a reason. However, in my mind, all I could think was, this mean old man. And then I started to tell other people, and everybody was like, everybody is petrified. And then I actually got to meet the examiner, probably, I don't know, maybe 2 months before I finally decided we're going to go for this. And coolest person ever. He said, oh, well, when you're actually ready, that's when you do it. Like, don't push it. Don't feel like you have to do it. Or, I know there's some people that feel like, oh, I want to get to the airlines and I have to finish this multi-check ride right now because I'm not going to make that next class. Or, but for me, meeting him and actually getting to meet him face to face and using words that came out of my mouth and talking to him, not me getting this perception that, somebody was just so scary when it wasn't. I also got to meet another examiner, and I felt like we didn't mesh well. So like I realized that getting ahead of the game and like getting to meet who there are, it's just like a flight instructor. There are people that don't mesh well.
Yeah, true.
That's
really good advice, actually, because I never met my examiners before my check rides. And part of that is very scary because you don't know what this person's going to be like. And they are during a check ride, they're not super personable. They don't say a whole lot. So it is kind of intimidating, especially for someone like bubbly like you, and you really want to talk and get to know someone. It's hard when they're just like stone cold sitting there,
Exactly. And then, when we did the oral and stuff, I briefly had spoke to other people that did check rides with this guy, and the one of my good friends, Jake, he flies probably 600 hours, and he's just privately to his other house. So these are all hours that he's just getting from one place to another for himself. And he said, like, he sat down with him, and let's just say the first question is, what's your name? And he just froze. I have no idea what my name is.
My gosh.
so like hearing just stories of like everyone saying, well, you freeze up, and they could just ask you like, do you wear glasses? I have no idea. Like,
yeah, right. Where am I? I don't know.
Exactly. So like, just finally, I think that people are afraid to actually just say, I'm afraid of this or I'm afraid of that. And I think that more people, me actually telling people that I was afraid and I didn't need to be, I mean, it's okay to be afraid of a check ride, but I think everyone has nerves, but it's more of like, if you don't know that this person was afraid. Oh, you all have the same fears. I thought it was just me. I thought it was me being afraid. And it's everybody,
Yeah. Especially the first check ride. You don't know what to expect. The more you do check rides, you kind of know what it's going to be like. But the very first one, you have no idea how it's going to go. They kind of prep you, but you don't really know until you actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, down to just prepping for oral, I wanted every single person that I could get, because they would ask me different questions. You can watch so many YouTube videos, but then I feel like everything that I had prepped for, I couldn't tell you what he asked me. I can't remember that, but I feel like it was just not taking that check ride until you were ready, because even if I had taken it 9 months ago, there are things that you're still learning in the air, and you're like, oh, that does work, or
or things just kind of start clicking and making more sense. You can read it out of a book, but until you actually experience it and kind of see it yourself, you don't really know exactly how they fit together with what you're trying to learn.
And I think you might also understand what I'm trying to say with this. I think being airplane owners, I now understand parts of the engine that I would never know about because something happened or I needed this part. Well, I couldn't tell you what a crankshaft is, but I know now because I had to replace one.
Yeah.
Like I know what it looks like. I know. So, I always used to think that there's no way that I'm going to understand parts of engines and, I can't even get the cowling off on my plane, so anytime it's off, I'm always like, oh, let me look at it because, the only thing I can really see is if I pop my oil cap open, like that's about it. I can't really get to see all the cylinders or to understand it. But yeah, I would think that anyone who's trying to prep for it, if they can get into a maintenance shop and get to see what it looks like or record it or anything. And I think a lot, at least in my airport, the maintenance guys, they like teaching.
Yeah, show you what they know. Definitely.
Right.
All right. So what did you do to prepare for your check ride? And what would you recommend others do, I guess?
Um, okay. So the one thing is what we just talked about is actually meeting your examiner. Meeting him, not seeing him down the hallway and being afraid. Meeting him, having a conversation, getting to know, what other people might have felt like with that examiner. And then what I did with the flight school was I couldn't tell you how many days or weeks, but it was ground. It was prepping for this oral, and then it was constantly flying and then prepping. And then, so if it was a bad weather day, we were in doing ground. And it was
the ACS.
What's it? Yeah, there's a word for it. Or
Airman Certification Standards.
That's it. Okay. I had my ACS, and every single page, I went through every single task, and then you could write down, you could do your notes, you could do whatever. I had focused on that, and then get through that whole book, and then get a different instructor who might not have ever been my instructor, but I made them go through and give me questions and answers for that. So that would have been like, I honestly thought what I would fail would be the oral, because I've been flying for so long, and a lot of it is just cross country that, what kind of engine you have. I'm just like, a big one.
Yeah. Like you don't use that stuff necessarily every single day. You're not talking about it.
Right.
All the time.
So, so I would say as much as you can get in for oral wise, I feel like that is, I mean, if you're not ready to fly, if you're not ready to do that check ride part of the flying, then you're not ready. So if you have your flying down and you're ready, I think it's just the getting through I wanted every single question that somebody could possibly give me so that I would know the answer. And then, I couldn't tell you if it was a month straight, but I finally was like, I'm going to crack down, and there was no way that I wasn't going to
focus
get
on
this done. Once I met him and everything was good, but it's, I would say, and then YouTube videos, there's tons of check ride oral, I'd say oral prep. There are some that are on YouTube that are from the 80s, which is kind of funny, but at the same time, they're the same questions.
Yeah.
But I had my good friend Shayna sent me, she apparently had a YouTube playlist of things that she did. So I think just and I have this friend named Natalie who's like, stay off of social media. And so as much as I could prep for it, then your brain would be fried, and then every once in a while I get online. But I do feel like breaking it down, and you have to be ready to be basically balls to the wall, ready to
focus.
Yeah. And so it's okay if you're not ready. Like, I feel like you've realized that too.
Yeah. Do you, once you went through it, did you think it was as bad as you had anticipated?
Okay. Once I went through it, I came home and I was like, what the heck was I waiting for? I felt like an idiot. I felt like a complete idiot. I mean, like, why did you wait so long? But
I wouldn't say you should feel like an idiot. You wanted to feel prepared.
I kicked myself in the butt though, because it was like
all this time.
You knew it. Like you were so
why did you doubt yourself? Yeah. It's like, why did you doubt yourself?
And I do feel like and I hate to say it because it's 2022, but that part of being a woman, I always felt like that might be the reason why somebody doesn't pass me. Like, as stupid as that sounds, like I had one friend that told me that during her check ride, the examiner brought up her being a woman. And I was like, what? But like, I don't know why I would think that. And these people around, like, none of them would have done that. But I always worry that, like, there's that one part of somebody that would be like, well, you don't know exactly how that oil runs,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, does
Like
oil run?
scrutinize you a
Yeah.
little more because
Yeah.
they typically women don't know those certain
Mm,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so the one thing I was just overly focused on with prepping was my knowing my engine inside and out. I was
Mm-hmm.
so worried that would be the one section that I might not, because I can joke about things like the one thing, he let me joke about it, but he had asked me, I also drew a blank too, but he had asked me, what your tire pressure was. And I was like, I'm going to stop you right there because I'm never gonna be I'm gonna make the guy down the hallway like I'm gonna make the
Yeah.
maintenance guy help me with that, And he's like, no, but well, where would you how would I
Find it.
know? Yeah,
Yeah.
how would I know? And I was like, I don't know, you want to call Cirrus? Why would like I was
Yeah.
messing. And then I'm like, the POH but being able to kind of like understand that he's a person, I'm a person, he wants to see me succeed as well.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, like he knows how stressed and overwhelmed these students are running in here
Mm-hmm.
for a check ride. So, I was joking about like, I would have somebody do it for me. But at the same time, I have wheel pants on. I have this little tiny hole. You have to move the wheel to get it into that exact
Yeah.
spot just to check the pressure. So
Right.
for me, if I'm around maintenance, I'm gonna have them help me.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's still like I understand the point of it, but it was more of like, okay, we can joke about it and then move on. Like
Yeah.
we can joke about that and like kind of set it back, like set the tone a little bit. Like, okay, she laughed now. She's not a nervous ball. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Did you take
but
a lot of books in with you when you
oh
went?
my goodness.
I took
Mm.
so many books in on my
Yes.
check. I had like
Yes.
two bags.
And I just was like, we had went where I had flown to because the other thing, he was gonna drive like 3 hours to come to
Oh
me.
my
And
gosh.
I was like, if I'm supposed to become a pilot, why wouldn't I fly to you? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so I had
Wow.
flown up there and I had, like the POH, I had all this stuff, and then I had my maintenance logs and my like so
Yeah.
I just came into the airport looking like,
So much stuff. Yeah.
and then but yeah,
But how bad would it suck if you didn't have the right book when he asked you a
ooh,
question? That one book.
exactly. And yeah, like my far aim, like I had it all you can actually buy them like this now, but they're tabbed. You can get them tabbed also.
Oh, I didn't know you could buy
Yeah,
them
I
tabbed now.
know. Thank
Wow.
you. Right? I mean, everybody.
Wow.
Like, yeah, you can get them tabbed. And not just tabbed, but they're like printed nicely. It's not like us, like I had my maintenance logs, I had like 55 post-its sticking out,
Yeah,
one
right.
stuck to my hair,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was so worried that too, like, or like, your maintenance logs, you roll up and you'd be like, oh, I forgot the one at home. Like
Oh
I
gosh,
went
that'd be
300
terrible.
miles. No,
Yes. Yeah.
but yeah, no. And he was, I really think that, my examiner knew that students come in so nervous
Mm-hmm.
and, I felt great on my flying part of it, but it was more of like through that oral, like get me through the oral. That's
Yeah.
all I cared
Yeah,
about.
right. That is a stressful part. You're one on one with that person. It's like it's
Mhm.
so just so intimidating. And
Yeah.
they ask you a direct question and you can't skirt around it. You have to
Yeah.
give them an answer.
Yeah. I can't
No
be
one
like,
else is going to come in and tell them.
yeah, be like, Cooper, you want to answer that for me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I'm going
let
to
her
call a
take the
friend,
lead.
phone a friend.
Exactly. But like, and then the flying part of it, there was when just before we were ending, we were doing some maneuvers and he wanted to get on with ATC and like ask for just a block, just in case. And one thing I realized was I'm so used to flying in my plane that when I hear my tail number, I'm just immediately on comms responding back.
Oh, yeah.
And I do think that like he would go to talk and I had already answered the question on comms. Where I'd already responded.
Yeah.
So I just was, you know, like that was just the one thing I don't think he was expecting me to, you know, be like, I got this. But I just was natural when you hear that your tail number.
Right.
You kind of stop talking and you're
Yeah.
So,
and you're like, hold on, please be quiet.
I got this examiner talking on my ear right now.
Yeah.
But no, I just think that the only one thing I can say is wait until you're not rushing anything. You're ready mentally. And then, you know, I think a lot of people, they'll have to, you know, postpone for weather, or I didn't even know. So I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do this because I was having like maintenance issues. So I was like, oh my
that's
goodness.
right. I remember that. Yeah.
So it was like, oh, I gotta wait again. I gotta wait again. So it was just frustrating. But
yeah,
at the same time, you're not going to push it and fly it on a plane that's not safe. You're not going to push it just because, you know, oh, I'm 8 months pregnant and I want to quick get this done before, you know, you don't. You want to quickly do nothing quick, I guess. You want to like, you know, get your head in the game. So
well, maybe one part of the reason the other person, I have no idea, failed was, you know, because a lot of times they're judging if you're making a good pilot decision.
They want you safe.
Correct. Yeah. So that this person going when the winds may have been out of their ability kind of showed that was not a great decision, you know, for that person.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of things that you never know what that situation was, but at the same time, yeah, I agree.
Wait until the weather is like something that is nice and, you know, mellow and low winds, and don't add that extra pressure into the whole situation.
Yeah. And the other thing I will say is I had several people tell me this, and I mean, you knew when I was doing it, but don't tell anybody when you're doing your check ride. It's only going to stress you out because you get all those texts. Did you get it? Did you make it? Did you, you know? And so in the other thing, I had no clue that like, if I actually failed, I could go right back, not right away, but you know, like when you were panicking over a check ride, I don't think that a lot of students have a clue of the steps of it. You know, like if you do mess something up, you go back and redo it.
Yeah.
And it's not it's
like just
not
that
the
part.
End of the world.
You don't have to redo the whole thing. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not the end of the world. So, but I would recommend never to tell anyone because
totally.
You know,
it's just that added pressure. You're adding pressure to yourself.
Exactly. There were a few people that knew, even when I passed my oral, I didn't tell anyone. I waited to make sure that I didn't want anyone texting me. I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, I made it through the oral. Like, and then people know that. So, you know, start to finish and right before I got back in my plane to head home, that's when I sent a text. So
yeah.
But
well, I'm just so excited for you. I mean, that's just
finally,
yay!
I'm not a baby anymore. But you know, I
know you've been working at it for a long time, and I'm sure your family was very excited about you finishing up. And
it's hard when you start stuff in COVID, you know, like man, that really screwed up a lot of people.
Yeah, but you know, that's part of your story. That's part of your journey, and it happened for a reason, and everything worked out. You know, you just got more experience and you got more hours preparing, so it's good.
Exactly.
All good.
But yeah, so I definitely think that more people need to just talk about check rides and fears of check rides.
And everybody is scared. I don't know anybody that's not scared and gets nervous with
like
a check ride.
We could ask every single person that we interview from here on out, hey, real quick, and they'll tell you that they were probably crapping
or maybe
themselves.
What you do to help alleviate the stress, you know, of a check ride.
Definitely.
One of those things is not for me, not tell anybody. I don't
No, I think that was the best
people.
decision that you could have your advice that you ever gave me was like, do not tell anyone.
Yeah. Because you don't want your phone blowing up when you're in the middle of the check ride and distracting you.
Or what if I hadn't passed? Then everybody would have been asking and I'd have to be like,
it'd be so embarrassing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, that is, unfortunately, we have to go, but I loved it. It was wonderful advice, and I'm very happy for you that you're done, and you can come see me now.
I can. We can skirt around in places.
So what's your cocktail tonight?
You know, it's going to be a margarita.
Mine's water.
Actually, mine's a Diet Coke. I just wanted to sound cool.
All right, girl. We'll see you later.
Right, bye.